Hello and welcome to Paper Plays Julie K.
Welcome everyone, and thank you so much for stopping by to check out my latest video. And today I'm here to do a thrift store haul / rummage sale haul. And the first thing I wanted to show you guys that I have laid out here on the floor of my craft room is a wedding dress. And my mom actually found this, and I believe she found it at the thrift store. The original price was $50 and they had half off that day. So she picked it up for me for $25. And I'll just kind of zoom over it and you guys can check out the beautiful lace on this dress. There's several layers on it. The other thing that was really nice about it is it had this gorgeous bling piece on it that I'll be able to cut off and use. And here was the original price, $50. And like I said, she got it for $25. And it's a size 24, so there's a lot of material there. And I'm just going to go down and just show you all of the layers on this that I'll be able to use on future projects. So of course the top layer, there is the lace. And up at the top, there is beading on it, but no beading at the bottom of this one, but it's lace. And again, that's where the top is up there. So underneath this layer, there is a layer of like a sheer material, and this is perfect for making flowers. And this goes up pretty much all the way up on the dress. Some of these are just like partial layers. Then there's a thick layer of that, like, not thick layer, but the thicker, stiffer tulle trim underneath that. And this goes up all the way on the dress. Then there's some sort of, like, I'm going to call it a synthetic material, but again, this is perfect for flower making. And this also goes all the way up, so there's a full layer of that on the front and back. And then this one I think goes up about halfway on the dress, so another layer of that stiffer tulle. And then underneath that layer, you can see there is another layer of tulle. And that's connected to some material right here. So this layer of tulle is only partially up, and then it goes into another like synthetic type material. And then also underneath that tulle, there's just a partial layer of that material. And then that's the middle of the dress. And then of course all the layers repeat themselves on the back side. So as you can see, there is a ton of different materials and laces on this that I will be able to use on future projects. For some reason my camera is not focusing very well, so I apologize for that. So now I'm going to walk slowly around my craft room to show you just a couple other things, and then I'll switch the camera view to my desk view to show you the last few things. So I do have a full tour of my craft room if you guys want to see it on my channel. But the next thrift store item that I wanted to show you guys was this container right here that I found. It reminds me of like a cheese box, the old vintage cheese boxes. I don't know what was in this one. It is vintage, it's old, and I paid only $3 for it, which I thought was a great deal. There is a little bit of damage right here. And so what my plan is I think I'm going to fill that in with some wood filler, and I will paint this. And I'll just use it for storage in my craft room. So that, I purchased that. And then in my ruler collection, I did find a couple more rulers. And I do have a project in mind for these. So the last three that I found were these three right here. At the same thrift store that I bought this at, and they were $2 each. But my plan is to eventually, I have a couple of shelves in my craft room. And so I'm going to cut them and, you know, add them onto the sides of these shelves and use like a nail gun to put them on. So I'm just building up my stash until I think I have enough to do that project. So I just put them in that little crock until I think I have enough. So I was happy with those finds. And then the last two finds were new for my craft room. It's both of this one right here, this drawer set, and also this drawer set. So those two drawer sets my parents found for me at a rummage sale, and they were $25 each. You can see this one gray one's pretty tall. And my plan again is to paint these over and to add new hardware. I don't like the handles on them. But you can see I've already added some of my supplies into them. That's kind of more mixed media stuff in this one. And in this set, I added like some of my bling and stuff like that. This is kind of the junk jewelry that you take apart. And then also back to this gray one. In the bottom of this one, I did add my punches because they fit in there nicely. And then I also have some punches in the bottom of this one. I used the wider drawers. Like here, these drawers were wider than up here. So the wider drawers, I started storing my punches in them. So that seems to work pretty good. So I do have a few more fun kind of vintage finds and a few other storage finds to share with you guys from the thrift store. And I'll start off with this really cool item. It is vintage. It is somewhat falling apart on the outside, but the inside are these beautiful Superior steel needles. And I paid $2 for this at a thrift store. It is full of needles, but I love the fact that they were vintage and they were old. And down the road, I really want to do like kind of a sewing themed journal, like a fabric and lace type journal. And I thought this would be so perfect to be able to stick into a pocket. So I did pick that up. Again, it's really old. I'm not quite sure how old it is, but I do love it. So I picked that up. The other item I paid up a little bit for too was this whole set of bingo cards. And I do have a few bingo cards left from a long time ago that I found a much better deal at my local thrift store. But my husband and I were picking up some petrified wood for him from a guy. And so my husband, since it was a little bit of a road trip, he did let me stop at any thrift stores, antique stores along the way. And so one of the thrift stores that we stopped at kind of had a combination of, it was somewhat like an antique store, but a little bit better prices than antique stores, but they also had thrift store stuff too. But she did have this bag for $10 of the bingo cards. And if you look like on eBay, they charge quite a bit just for a small handful. You know, they're charging about $1 a card on eBay to buy these vintage looking bingo cards. And so for $10, I thought it was a better deal than if I were to go to eBay and buy them. It is a complete set. There is the rules. There is the pieces right here. And then also the wood pieces. So that was $10. And I did, you know, somewhat pay up. The last time I think I bought a full set of bingo cards, and they were really cool. They actually had Coca-Cola in the middle of them. I paid like $2 or $3 for it. But I like to use them in my junk journals, and I like the fact that they're vintage. So for $10 for me, it was worth it. The next thing that I have to show you, I actually bought off of eBay. I saw someone else go to like a swap meet and they purchased like these French vocabulary cards or a similar box. There's a couple different styles. But I'm like, oh, I really want those for in my junk journals. And they're just little like vocabulary cards. One side, it's the French word, and then the back side is whatever the English word is. And so I've been looking for a while on eBay, and somebody popped this one on, and it was like $5.95 or $6. And so that was worth it to me, plus to pay shipping. Sometimes I've seen them for like $20 on eBay, but when I saw it for the $5.95, the $6, it was worth it to me. So I did buy these, you know, semi-vintage French vocabulary cards for my junk journals. So that was kind of a fun find for me. And then this was at a thrift store, and I only paid 50 cents for it, but I do like these pearls by the yard for crafting, and I love the fact that it was pink. I have quite a few off-white ones in my stash, but I don't really have too much of the pink left, so when I saw a pink one, I did pick it up. And then the next thing I wanted to show you was these little like container boxes. They're not very big. My mom did find a whole bunch of these at a rummage sale. She paid $0.25 each, and she bought me like half a dozen or so of them. I'm not going to show you all of them. I just pulled one out. But for $0.25, I thought those were really cute. And what I thought about this is like when I gift people flat back pearls or maybe small buttons, I could easily stick them into the little compartments, and then on the top you could add a cute little piece of paper or a flower or something and kind of make it a little bit more special than just the plastic box. Then a few more vintage items. So I did pick this up at one of the antique stores that my husband and I went into. They did have a pretty good price on their vintage postcards. Most of them were like churches and stuff like that, which I didn't pick up. But I did look, and I found this one. It is of North Dakota Badlands, which I grew up in Minnesota. My husband grew up in North Dakota. They neighbor each other, and we go to the North Dakota Badlands and the Theodore Roosevelt Park quite a bit. So when I saw a postcard from that location, I did pick it up, a vintage one. I am kind of on the hunt for like there's a petrified wood forests. And so I am kind of on the hunt for some of those vintage postcards, but I haven't found them yet. But I did find this one, so I did pick that one up. And then these next few things were at a thrift store that I stopped at while we were traveling. And this store actually had like some vintage ephemera. And so I bought a little bit of it. They were $0.25 each, but they're like little kind of receipt type things that have been written on. That came from the state bank. This was called the North Home Record, so I don't know if that was like a newspaper company. I'm not quite sure, but it was for like bills and programs. And so that's what both of them are on there. But again, for $0.25 each, I thought those were kind of fun. I'll try and gently remove the price tags on those and use them in the junk journal down the road. I also found this farmer's pocket ledger. I've been really wanting some authentic ledgers. And if you guys look on eBay, they are expensive. And I really wanted some with like handwriting in it. Unfortunately, this one does not have handwriting in it, but it still is kind of cool. It is from Minnesota, from Pequot Lakes. And it's like kind of a farmer's one. So I did pick that up. There is some other like pictures of machinery in there. I'm not sure if I'll leave it intact or if I'll just take out the pieces. I'm not quite sure, but I paid $2 for this one, and it's from 1948. Then this last one also was $0.25. I thought this one was kind of cool. It's like a typewriting chart. You know, I suppose someone maybe would have practiced, you know, on this. I don't know, because it says touch typewriting chart, but I'm not quite sure. Copyright on this one is 1925 on that one. And then it does have some info on the back of that one. Again, just some fun vintage ephemera. And then the last couple things are more like storage type containers. So this, I believe, is like a berry basket where people pick berries and they put them in there. My parents picked this up. My dad picked this up. And I can't remember if he said this one was 50 cents or if it came from a free bin. I'm not quite sure. But I thought this would be really cute to just spray paint up with some white chalk paint. And then maybe put some doilies in it or some linens, and then I can gift somebody something in here. So that's what I plan on doing with that one. Another item that my parents found, lately my mom's been finding lots of good deals for little storage containers and different things for next to nothing. And so this one obviously needs a new paint job. Part of it's been like painted and part of it's like got black spray paint on it. So I don't know if they started off with black spray paint and then they painted over it and just didn't finish it. I'm not quite sure. But there's some spray paint. You can kind of see the black spray paint on the inside, but you can also see the green. So I'm not quite sure what happened to it, but it was only 50 cents. So she did pick it up. And again, if I redo this, I think it would be really cute as far as gifting somebody something in this. So for 50 cents, another good deal. And then the last box, and again, this is a set of boxes that my mom found for, I think the whole thing was, no, they were 50 cents each. So each box in here is 50 cents. They are like stacking boxes. And some of them they have been hand painted, but I will probably sand off the painting on this and then redo it. Some of them have the hardware on the front, and then a couple of the boxes are missing. But there was this larger size one, and I don't know, let's see, I have a ruler here. So this one's almost 12, like 11 and a half by 11 and a half approximately. And when you open it up, there's another one. This one is missing the front hardware on it, but I think I can, it's nailed in, so I can take that off and put something different there. This one is about 9.5 by 9.5, and then there's 1/3 one on the inside, and this one's 7.5. So that was the kind of my final little find from thrifting and rummage sailing that I wanted to share with you guys. So again, I wanted to thank everybody so much for watching today. If you have any comments or questions, please leave them below. And until next time, I hope you guys all have a wonderful day and happy crafting.